Hello.
So we like to say happy Monday to everybody from here from the Profit Room. It's myself, Ernest. We got Latoya, and we got Trader Shells, aka Sneak Money, aka Chic Money, and don't worry about that, guys. Those are little names for her. You're not gonna even know what that's about. Y'all coming to Trading Room. So what we wanted to do today was really have a 6 months overview of her trading journey and what she has actually been doing. I'm gonna ask her some questions. So if you guys want to share this to other people. And what we are, if you don't know, we are a stock market trading and education company. Which we do is we try to educate people on trading and investing in the different financial markets. So whether you're trading stocks, whether you're trading options, whether you're trading whatever, anything that has a chart, futures, we go from there. We try to assist you in any type of way possible so you can benefit financially and become an independent professional trader. So that means that you don't have to rely on anyone. That means that you don't have to, what happens, depend on people all the time. So you get the knowledge and you get the skills and you can grow from there. So welcome, Chels. How's it going?
It's going good. It's going good. Thanks for having me.
All right, all right. So just tell them a little bit about yourself, your background, your trading experience, what you trade, stuff like that.
Okay. My name is Shelly. I'll just go by Shelly. That'll make it a bit
Mhm.
easier. Yeah, I ended up getting hooked up with the Profit Room actually earlier this year in February. Initially, I was looking just to up my knowledge in the stock market. I wasn't necessarily thinking about trading at that particular time. But I was interested in like I said, growing my education from a stock market, standpoint. I work full time. Usually I'm out in the field. I'm a construction engineer. Through meeting up with the Profit Room, the first course I took was a swing trading course, which for someone who works full time, I think, swing trading is, great. Through that, like I said, that was kind of the month of February. You know, also did some live, sessions where I was able to actually, view you all while you were in the midst of trading. For someone like me who's a visual learner, that
Hmm.
was, great for me because I could just sit there and watch and just kind of soak it in, almost as if I was there. Later on, I found out through you, Ernest, about really the futures market and all the videos that you were doing, particularly with trading crude oil. The energy market is something that I've worked in, is something that I'm really interested in. So I said, this crude oil, learning about the futures market and trading crude oil, may be a really good, fit for me. I reached back out to you all and, came up with the plan where I said, okay, this particular month is going to work perfect for me to, do a one-on-one premium course. So I did that for the, whole month of May. And then into a little bit of June, got through simulation in June, and then started live trading in July. And so, for the most part, on the future side, I trade crude. There are a few times where I make it into ES or NQ, but for the most part, like I said, I would say consistently, crude oil is the one that I like personally. And then if I'm on the swing trading, side of the house, it may be stocks or various options that I've just looked at the charts throughout these months, and I kind of end up sort of keeping an eye on them a little bit. And if I like what I see, then I may, make a trade plan for it.
Okay, okay. Latoya, I don't know if you had any questions you want to
Yes.
ask her off the bat.
So when you So with swing trading, many people never heard of actually swing trading or that actual process. You kind of want to break that down for them and how it works and how you can also incorporate probably the various markets into that actual method.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So with swing trading, well, quite frankly, the way that you all teach us, it's all about technical analysis and risk management. But in particular, most people have heard about day trading, and so they may get a certain idea in their mind of being stuck to your computer, looking at 50 gazillion charts, at
Hmm.
once. And, a bit hectic getting in and out, kind of stuff like that. But on the swing trading side, so, you will still have charts that you'll, look at. But ideally, I guess I would say ideally, when you're putting together a trade plan and you have a mindset of swing trading it, you're not anticipating for your particular target to necessarily hit within a day. You would have done some analysis and you'll see kind of how that particular stock typically moves, if it's like a 50-cent move a day or a quarter or a dollar, et cetera. And then once again, when you put your trade plan together, ideally, you could say, hey, I may be in this trade for a week. Ideally, you're not looking to be in the trade longer than a month. Per se, but I guess you guys call it the microwave trading,
Yes.
and from that standpoint, we mean you do. It's like when I think about it, when I'm swing trading, a lot of the times I'll look at my charts on the weekend, and then I will have alerts, set up for when the bell opens on Monday, to see about a certain, trigger point or so. And if that particular entry point hits, whether it's on a Monday or Tuesday, whatever that day or time that comes, then you're obviously into the trade, and then you put in your stop loss and your take profit areas, orders for your brokerage account. But you don't really have to look, at it. I mean, once you're in the trade, you're just kind of letting the trade do its thing, and stuff like that. So, like I said, for someone who is, perhaps a beginner, or for someone who, has other things going on, you have another job, et cetera, doing something like swing trading can very much be beneficial, to that. Because once again, you don't have to, like I said, check in on it, all the time.
Right, exactly. That's great. And you incorporated futures into your swings as well, right?
Yes, 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 yes. So that's like the next phase that I'm going into. So initially starting out after I did my first month with Crude in July, I really wanted to. So I think it's important that people, they're honest with themselves and kind of know themselves. So I learned swing trading first, but when I went to the futures class, I said, okay, this is something new. Like, I need to concentrate on this. So in July, I really did nothing but trading crude. In August, now I knew that I wanted to get to a point where I was going to be able to bring swing trading
Mm,
and the futures trading together, right? So I'm trying to basically capitalize on all the knowledge that I've basically gained in the year of 2019. So in August, I said, okay, I'm still new with trading crude, but I want to start to, bring the swing trading aspect on the stocks, equity side of the house, back into play. So that was a very intentional decision, for me, but I didn't want to feel overwhelmed trying to do both. So for the month of August, I still primarily traded, futures with crude, but I did bring in a few swing trades. I think I took like about five when I look back at my spreadsheet. I took like five, trades. And not only was it because I wanted to bring those two together, but also because I work full time, I know that the job that I used to do, the
Hmm.
fourth quarter is very busy for me. So with Crude, I was used to being very active. So while I was not at my computer all the time, I was definitely managing my Crude trades way more than like a swing trade. And I knew that come the fourth quarter, it just, that was not going to be, realistic for me. So that was another reason why I said, okay, hey, eventually, I want to bring this together because I'm not going to be able to trade Crude all the time. I just need to be able to do whatever is best for me at that time. And so, sure enough, by time I reached, September, you know, start to see the spreadsheet. I'm starting to bring more swings and kind of my trading with Crude was going down some. And pretty much by October, I was pretty much at 50-50 with, having swing trades or crude oil trades, going on at the same time. Such that, quite frankly, by time November and December got here, it was either at 50-50 or the swings, started
Hmm.
to, creep up. And the number of crude oil trades that I was taking, had decreased. And so once again, I kind of anticipated that was going to happen because the fourth quarter is very, busy for me. I'm out in the field doing inspections and stuff like that. So
Did you have any challenges you had to adjust in terms of you had to adjust to anything with your, but besides having the 50-50 balance, were there any like mental challenges in terms of you adjusting properly?
yes, 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 yes. So when we had talked back in July, I took a few notes. This
Here
is
we
actually
go.
the same little piece of paper. I was in the Hilton Hotel. This time I'm at home, but I was in the Hilton Hotel, so you only get like a small piece of paper.
Yes.
So there was a couple of things that, while we were conversating, I was kind of jotting down as well. One of the things was talking about, you had shared how, like, when you're trading stocks, if you were up in, two, maybe generally you pick about 3 to 4. If you're up in two, you kind of slow down on your shares, futures, about two trades. In asterisks, though, I wrote down, don't question yourself. And then in a rectangle, I wrote stick to the plan because that was
Mm.
something else, that you had talked about. And so with crude or with the futures market, because it's the commodities and it's the global market and it's you pretty much have the opportunity if you want to trade just about 24/7. It almost felt like I went from one extreme to the other. And so while on one hand, it was good that I concentrated on, the new skill that I learned, because I do believe that that helped build my confidence, even more. Um, when I guess sort of life, changed for me, I noticed that on the swing side, because I was used to maybe getting in and out, more quicker or more frequently, um, it's like, hey, it's a different mindset though with swings. So, you have your target, you may have multiple targets, but there were times that I did, I guess, question myself, and I would get out earlier than initially what my plan had said because I was going ahead and I was taking profit. And then, of course, what happens? Well,
It
you
hits your
you you had
target.
your plan for a reason, you
Exactly.
did your
Yeah.
analysis, and of course, it hits target. So then you get into the whole, well, this is, oh, I should have just, stayed in, why did I, you know, rush myself or I guess get semi greedy, whatever you want to call it, and just kind of rush through the process. Whereas, with swing, it's not about kind of that rushing that process at all. You're really, letting the trade, play out the way that it's supposed to.
Right. I think with swings in general, or even day trading, really, it really doesn't matter. I think once you set a plan and you have a target, being active and when the computer is actually on and you're watching the charts, it is a hard thing to do because
Very hard.
you're watching it. So when you see the dollar signs, you're like, "Dang, I'm up like this already. Should I just
Uh-huh.
take the money rather than hitting the actual target?" And
Hmm.
realistically, that's hard for everyone. That's hard for myself. It's hard for Ernest. So no doubt, seeing that, you're gonna want to take the profits. We always say there's nothing wrong with taking a profit. So it's just more
Hmm.
so separating the two. If you know it's a
Yeah.
swing, you kind of have to
Hmm.
let it do the work and not actively watch it. And that's the only way you're going to really be able to let that thing go to target
Yeah.
without actually getting tempted to take
Yeah.
profit. You know,
Hmm.
I think
And
the
I
best
think,
swings, go ahead.
and I was just saying, like we had this conversation before, because you're coming from swing trading and you're
Hmm.
transferring over to you're doing both, and we
Hmm.
do the same thing. So the only good thing behind on your situation is because you still work.
Hmm.
So you you may by fortunate stay in the trade longer because you're not watching it, and that happens to
Hmm.
us all the time. So it's like you get in those trades, like you was talking about those options, they may go up 70, 80%, then realize you could have had
Hmm.
300%. That happens to us all the time. It doesn't matter whether it's
Hmm.
Expedia, Amber, whatever, Amazon, you get out, or like Netflix, because I
Yeah.
see you in the chat,
Yeah.
like I got out my Netflix, but you was up. But the fact is, when you're sitting there and watching it,
Yeah.
that's the battle you always want to have. Do I just take the money because I'm up?
Mhm.
That's the whole goal, or do I allow it? But then that's when we started advancing with more contracts and letting them run.
Yeah.
But then at the same time, when we're trading crude, we got to get out.
Yes.
Sometimes
Yes.
will
Yes.
punch you in the mouth,
Yeah.
and before you know it, you're like, "Dang!" Like
Yeah.
Latoya be
Yeah.
like, "Why you ain't tell me to get out?" I'm like, "I didn't get out either." We got little battles on like just two more
Yeah.
ticks, just three more ticks.
Yeah.
Sometimes that thing is just true. That thing will drop on you. You're like, ah, like you were just up
Exactly.
so much. But
Yeah.
so that's the thing. You taking that mindset from day trading futures, what moves fast, then you go to
Hmm.
the options, the swing trading, the stocks, and it's hard to. But that's building you as a trader, though,
Hmm.
because once you start
Exactly.
doing that, it's like that muscle, like you're going from here, you're going from here. But that's good that you're able to seesaw it and balance it because it
Mhm.
happens. That happens to all of us.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay. Okay.
Stay
swing
consistent.
trading the futures, the commodities is much different in terms of
Mhm.
swing trading like stocks, in terms stocks, options, because with the
Yeah.
futures, you have to really prepare, even if it's just one contract, you have to
Hmm.
prepare yourself to be down at least $1,000 to $2,000 before the swing pulls up. And that's just the
Yeah.
nature of specifically crude market. Like
Hmm.
if you look at that chart right now, you pull up the day
Yeah.
chart, we all had a hindsight target. Crude is
Yep.
going to go to like 60, 61 when the
Yep.
price was trading at 57, right?
Yeah.
But what did they
Yeah.
do? They played so
Yep.
many pullbacks,
Hmm.
upticks, and they just slammed it down before you look
Yeah.
at the chart now, it hit 62.
Exactly.
So
Yep.
it's more so with that market in particular, if you're swinging it, just know you're going to be down a few grand. You just got to
Hmm.
disappear, walk away, and trust in the long term analysis of that market. If you're day trading it, you just stick to day trading. But for swings, you
Yeah.
literally you can't log on. You got to walk away, trust that
Hmm.
analysis. You have your stop. You got to have some room because obviously
Yeah.
it's futures, and for it ultimately to hit the target that you had.
Yeah. Yeah.
Very
Yeah.
I
important.
want to talk about. I want to shift gears a little bit and talk about something because I remember Shells, you messaged me, and during the message, I was just visualizing you whispering, like, because your plan was like about $200 a day, right, or something like that.
Hmm.
That was your
Yep.
trade, and I just felt
Yep.
you was like, Ernest, I made I made $6,000 this week. Should I change something? It was like, and I'm visualizing. I know your personality. Like you was just like in awe. Like how is that in your
Yeah.
mind? Like because you're very disciplined, and that's why like guys watching this. That's why she's successful
Yes, exactly.
Themselves listen. Like we can give you the sauce and tell you what to do, but not everybody listens. You just gotta listen.
Mhm.
So what was going through your mind? Because I know I'm gonna tell you I'll tell you about what I told you, but what was going through your mind when you was realizing that you was catching more profits than your
Yeah.
initial goal?
Yeah. So it was like when I was in the trade, I almost just felt like that I was in the zone. It literally felt like that I could just do no wrong. So
Traded in the sun.
whatever I wrote down, like that's exactly where I got in at, the targets, that's exactly what I got out at, because of course I had already had all of that set up. And so it's like, the first day, okay, I don't really think I was thinking about it much. But then the second day, and it was basically three, like, yeah, 3 or 4 consecutive days. But that particular week, um, I think it kind of shook me to my core because that was a holiday week. That was Labor Day, weekend. So that's a short, trading week with, the different, market hours and stuff like that. And so once I had got to, like, the second, like the end of the second going into the third day, I was like, wait a minute, this cannot, like, be real. And I remember I was in the back room kind of like talking to myself. So obviously I'm at my computer and I know that it's real, but it just seemed like so surreal. And literally I was like, I don't know what time it is, but I knew, like, I had to call up you and Latoya because I was like, look, they have been in this game for quite a while. And, I know that they have also gone through this. And so I'm like, no. I'm gonna go back to my teachers and I'm gonna just be like, no, like seriously, like what is this about? How did you handle this? Because it was almost while it did feel good, like I said, it just felt so surreal because it was not even on my radar to even
Mhm.
think, okay, within a week, I could make $6,000. I'm like, wait a second. And then I get my calculator out. And, there are days that I work, 12, 13-hour days. And I did the math. I
Hmm.
took my monthly pay and I did the math on down to the hourly pay. And I even told my husband, like, do you realize when I work my 13-hour day, I don't even make this? so,
Yeah,
so yeah, so I definitely, appreciate both of y'all answering my call
and
and just,
and I
letting me like talk about, just letting me kind of get the emotions, letting me just express myself. And then, once again, like, you guys have always been an open book and being able to share, as well, because I couldn't believe it. I couldn't believe it.
and I told you, I say keep your same goal.
Hmm.
Keep
Yeah.
your same goal. If you're looking for 200, 300 a day, because when you start, see, this is what happens. What a lot of people don't know when these people that pop up with these trading companies and stuff like that, you get all excited like that, right? But
Hmm.
the market is going to hit you in the mouth at one particular time, and
Yeah.
you got to be ready to take that hit. So if you reach for that goal, especially starting off, and you're getting so much more, just work on the consistency and the confidence because now you're pulling in all those profits, right? And now you have to be humble because the market will humble you. And what
Yeah.
happens, I think some people get too excited, like, wow, I'm making 5 grand, I'm making 6 grand. Oh,
Hmm.
I know everything now. I know
Yeah.
everything. And then the reality is there'll be a day or two, because it happens to
Hmm.
all of us, where that market's gonna hit you with that uppercut. Boom, boom. You like, oh, you're like, I see
Yeah.
blood. Like, and that's
Hmm.
that's gonna shake you. But if
Yeah.
you keep that same consistent goal, and that's going to build the confidence because that's when you start, like when you're doing the options now and other stuff, it
Hmm.
allows you to
Yeah.
level up and be a little bit more confident, because
Hmm.
sometimes, like you said, it gets surreal because you look at it like, I
You
made it
know.
that fast. I did like,
Mhm.
I'm just doing this, I'm doing that. And you always want to be confident in your trades, but also at the same time appreciative about the profits. And I
Yes.
think that's what happens with most people because you're right. Like that, that's what I was saying. I knew you was probably like, even though you was, I was like, I know she's probably whispering, like, what is this? What's going on? Because everybody goes to, it's like, this is not real. Does this really
Mhm.
happen? But that's the results of mastery, and a lot of people won't ever experience that. A lot of people won't ever experience that because they won't follow something and follow the direction. So that was one thing. Another question I want to ask: when you started trading and investing, because we was doing
Mhm.
another podcast or video, how did your friends or immediate family feel about it, or if they even knew? Let's just talk about that, or if they
Yeah.
even.
So, so yeah, I think initially coming in, really, the only family who knew what I was doing was my husband, because obviously we live together. So
Mm,
he sees me, getting up early in the morning, because I live overseas. So like when I was taking the swing trading course. That was meeting in the evenings on the Eastern time, but that was like 3 o'clock in the morning, where I live. So obviously the alarm was going off way earlier than than what it would typically, do. And stuff. And so actually, this was something that, eventually my husband and I, we did talk about. And, what he was saying was that, we've been together for, quite some time. And so he was like, he's like, I have to say, and I thought this was him being nice to me, but really, per his words, he was like, I've always, it's like since we've been together, you had various, projects that kind of, pique your interest and stuff like that. And he's like, some things, you'll really get into, and then, other things until you get like a new challenge, then you'll be on to like the next one. But he was like, this whole swing, because obviously that was what I was doing at that time. He was like, this whole trading thing though. He's like, this is way different, and stuff like that. And so he's like, and I'm not saying that's a bad thing. He's like, I think it's good that he's like, I feel like this isn't quite a project to you now. Yes, you're learning something new, and because you have absolutely no previous experience, it's a challenge. And so, I know that you're always someone who is up for a good challenge that's gonna, keep the juices, flowing. He was just like, but this though is, very different. And I can tell, when we're talking about stuff, and everything. And so it's interesting that even though it's one of these where, even though you live together, you're married, you talk about stuff, still, people observe, what you do, even if you don't really think that they're looking, and
mm-hmm.
stuff like that. So, the getting up, in the morning, when I did have class, or even once class was over, but because that early morning time was a consistent time that I could study, I would still get up, early in the morning to take a look at charts. So I was still doing like the same type of task, if that's what you want to call it, like when I was in class, even though the class was long, done and over, and stuff like that. And so it's interesting that people will see that, or through conversation. Then of course through conversation, yes, I started to talk with, my other family members about it. Like, my parents were the first, because I did want to look at some of their charts. So I was like, yeah, I know that, you got retirement accounts.
Yes, yes.
Probably some of your stuff is in company stock, and that's, how it's always been. But I need for you, I gave them homework. I need for you to, give me your tickers or give me your companies, and I'm gonna find your tickers and I'm gonna start looking at your charts. So,
That's good.
so
That's good.
and so actually from that, that was really why I decided to start like my page, where my Facebook page, where I wanted a space where I could just talk about trading. And it was really when I thought to make the page, It was really just for me to be able to sort of journal, because I figured at some point I was going to want to look back and kind of just like see the natural progression. But from that, like some of my family members, have joined, because, I say, hey, if it has anything to do with trading, this is where I'm going to talk about it, on. I'm not going to talk about it anyplace else, and stuff. And so now I have, family members, and I mean, we talk about trading, at various functions. Some of my family members, will be taking classes. Some of them are already registered. Some of them haven't registered yet, but it's on their radar. And the same thing like with my friends. And it's interesting because, there's been people that I haven't physically, talked with in a long time because of the physical distance. But through Facebook, we've reconnected. And, trading is something that they've actually been interested in. And, now they know somebody that, they really do know. And I'm a beginner. And so they're also, on their journeys, as well. Like, Tiffany, me and her, we go way back to when she's a baby. And that's how come she calls me what she calls me, and stuff like that. So it's like, I'm like, man, this is just, amazing. And I really do genuinely appreciate how, for whatever the reason, way back when you two decided to hook up and form this company, and how you obviously decided that this was going to be how you go about your business and how you were going to run your business in transparency and wanting to, teach people. I mean, this is like changing people's, lives, like literally, and figuratively.
Don't make me
And stuff.
cry.
So and trust me, I'm trying not to get emotional, but I think you guys, like, I really want to make sure that you guys know this, and this is the real deal. So I know there's been folks who talked to you and they've said, hey, yeah, like I know Sherelle, and if she puts her name on something, like she doesn't mess around, and stuff like that. And so they have that trust in me. But at the same time, I'm just like, man, like these guys, quite frankly, I don't know how y'all do it, but you have a good team, and you're able, to do it. And once again, it's just one of these of, sort of paying it, forward. And I think that, like I said, that was just awesome, that y'all said this was how you were gonna, form the Profit Room and all the more stuff that you guys have, that's gonna be coming out in the future.
Yeah,
How's
and
have this change your life, Cheryl?
Oh my goodness. So I think, so first and foremost, one of the things that I had been looking for is, I've always been big on, location independence. I love to travel. I am a traveler at my core. And so, whereas I was already thinking about, okay, this current job that I'm in, I know that at some point, we're going to part ways. It's the nature of what I do. I'm hired as an expert to basically pass on my knowledge to the younger, to the younger journeymen's coming up, and that's going to be my legacy. I'm going to share and tell, show them everything that I know. And then at some point I'm going to leave, because they're going to be running the show. And I'm going to feel comfortable knowing that I have done the best that I can to set them up for, the best success that, they can be. I'm not holding back any sort of knowledge. I'm sharing that knowledge with them. And so at the same time, though, it's like, hey, okay, so after this, like, what's next? And so while trading was never on my radar, I was like, well, obviously, this is what I'm going to do, because
exactly.
I'm able to do it, from anywhere. And I do, like I said, I travel a lot. So whether I don't know where I'm going to go, or I don't know where we're going to land, after we leave, from here. And then also the memories and stuff. So there was something earlier on, Ernest, that you had shared with me where you said, hey, I know you're going to be concentrating and kind of, saving up, because you want to be able to get to a point where you like trade more than one contract, you know, et cetera, or buy a certain amount of shares. But you were like, you know, really take some of the money, pay a bill, go on a vacation someplace or whatever. And this was like before you even really started to kind of get to know me and like know that I like to travel, right? And stuff. And so I was like, okay, you know, I just kind of saved that, you know, save that little gem in the back of my mind. And you know, sure enough, later on in the year, you know, my family and I, we've been able to take some trips. I've gotten feedback from family where they're like, this is the best family vacation that we've ever, you know, been on, a once in a
Yeah,
lifetime, you know, trip. So you're making those, you know, memories that are going to stay, you know, forever. We have tons and
correct,
tons of photos, you know, to look back
correct.
on. But then at the same time too, like I'm getting rid of debt. So,
Hmm.
you know, to be able to sign into, you know, my student loan and to be able to pay off, you know, in full, you
Mm,
know, student loans.
God, see
I
that?
mm.
mean, so,
Yeah.
so once again, I mean, that's, you know, that was one electronic payment that, you know, I didn't have a problem you know, seeing that
Hmm.
money leave from my account because I knew, hey, when this thing is paid off, you're not getting any more reminders that, you know,
Correct.
your bill is going to be coming due on the 15th, you know, for that particular bill. So,
And I think the reason why I say that too, because even though Latoya and I we trade for a living, and I appreciate everything that you're saying because that was our initial goal, right?
okay.
And we look forward to attracting students like you, like because at the same time, it's a quality of life. So when you look at trading and investing, everybody, even though we make profits and we post gains and things like that, but at the same time, what are you trying to do? Like you said, with your
Yeah.
family, your bills, and things like that, you're developing a skill to pull money out of the market consistently. So what's the use having all of this money you bring it in and it's not changing your lifestyle or
Yeah.
changing something that you deal with? And I think a lot of people get stuck on that I got to build the account. I got to build the account. I got to get
Mhm.
to 5, 6 contracts, which is great goal to have. Everybody wants to do that. But in the meantime, once you start taking that money out consistently and you seeing, hey, I paid for a cell phone bill, I paid
Mhm.
for rent, I paid for mortgage, I paid for that, it starts to become real to you, becomes
Yeah.
real to you. And that's what happens. So now you sit back and, like you said, the discipline you had to get up every day, 3 in the morning, your time, to study every single day, it becomes real to you. It becomes
Yeah.
real to you. And that's what we wanted for people. That's why, like, if you go to our, like you said, our live trades and on YouTube, nothing that we're doing isn't new. Like, some people say it's a secret, you got to hide it. You know, if you go to our YouTube channel, you'll probably learn a lot more from there, just in general, from other stuff. It's not like we hiding a whole lot of stuff, but it's just like being around people that could give you that little small bit of advice. Like, I even
Yeah.
forgot I even mentioned that to you, but you need to hear that. A lot of people
Hmm.
need to hear that instead of chasing something. And that's what we do. Like, we teach you how to pick up the money, right? Just pick it up.
Yeah.
You ain't got to jump in the
Yeah.
air to get it.
Hmm.
And I'm glad you mentioned that about your husband seeing you every morning study, every morning
Hmm.
study, because that's what you have to do. That's what you
Yeah.
have to do. I mean, and there's no way around it. And what happens is once you stop that, you're going to
Hmm.
notice it in your trades.
Yeah.
Yes.
You're clearly going to notice it in your trades. So even though we don't obsess with trading, but like you said, the fact that you was looking at your family members' tickers and stocks, that's
Hmm.
filtering in your mind. That's filtering
Hmm.
you. Like, we're in the trading room and we're short and crude, me, you, Jason, or whoever else is in there, Lauren, everybody else. It's just
Yeah.
that it's regular conversation. Oh, it's about
Yeah.
to bounce off this level. Oh, we about to get long here. It's about to break out here. Because we
Mhm.
all see the same thing. We
Yeah.
all see the same thing. And it's not easy to train yourself like that. But
Hmm.
now that you see it, you can't erase it. You
Yeah.
can't erase it at all. And that's the power. That's the power. And just to mention, that's the only thing I think that separates us, because you just talked about swing trading, you talked about futures. I know you're doing options. Many people will teach you a strategy, how to get in, and
Okay.
that's the going rate. But we teach you how to
Okay.
trade, to make your own decision.
Yeah.
And that's what you've been doing. Like, that's that little battle that you go through. Not too many people can think like that. They just
Hmm.
focus like, when this line crosses over here and this line crosses over here, you buy here. You
Okay.
are like, nah, I'm looking, uh, boom, I'm getting in here, boom, I'm getting out here. You're in the fight,
Yeah.
you're in the battle, so that's the power behind it.
And
Really power.
Cheryl, you follow the actual process to the exact T. I can't stress that enough. From what you just relayed, in terms of, I know our time difference is
Hmm.
definitely a time difference in terms of when we were doing the sessions, what, 9 or 8 o'clock my time
Yeah.
Eastern, and it was like,
Hmm.
what, you're nine
But
hours or 8 hours
yeah.
ahead.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it's
8, 9. Yeah.
extremely early in the morning for you. You know,
Hmm.
that's dedication alone. And then for you to actually stay up and continue that process, even though the
Hmm.
class ended, is like a huge effect. And, you know, for your overall accomplishment when it
Hmm.
comes to actual trading. So that's
Yeah.
that's huge, because not many people have that type of dedication, you know.
It was one
Real.
other,
Yeah.
who
And
was the
I
guy in
think that was,
go ahead.
and that, so that's that, and that's been like one of my consistent messages, right? Because people have, because they're researching, you guys, they're doing their due diligence, like they should, and if someone has a video, then they may, reach out and say, well, hey, I see you took a class with the Profit Room. I'm thinking about it. Can I ask you, some questions and stuff like that? And like I said, I mean, even going back to that initial, swing trading class, like, I mean, Latoya, you were just so plain. And one of the things you had told us was, you was like, hey, if you could just, spend like 30 minutes or 45 minutes, spending some sort of time in the market, whether you're, pulling up a particular ticker, or you're, watching the overall, indices, you're just looking at the chart. Sure, you may not think that you know what you're looking at that particular time, but
Hmm.
just trust me. You guys said that. And then another consistent message was, get the technical analysis down, focus on that, and the money comes later. So that was like two consistent messages that
Yep.
both of you
Don't worry
guys
about the
always
money.
had.
Yep.
And I'm like, you know what? Okay, like, I'm gonna just go ahead and I'm gonna trust them on this. So literally, that was like what I had, kind of ate from. And so now looking back, that's what I tell people. I say, hey, look, got to be patient with yourself, because there's going to be some concepts that you're going to get quicker than others. Sometimes we're our own worst critic. So there's
Hmm.
some things that you think that you don't get, and you're actually understanding it more, than what you actually, give yourself credit for. But all the time, whether it's 30 minutes a day, or you make up time on the weekends because you can't get to it every day, the time that you spend, it's gonna pay dividends later. And
Oh,
so
of
I'm like,
course.
I'm proof of that. I'm proof of that. So
Yeah.
I'm like, if you don't believe nothing else I say, I'm like, hey, I guarantee you, if you just listen to those two things that, they initially, tell you about, and once again, like I said, on whatever your time frame is, that's why you have to be honest, with yourself. Don't say you're gonna be in the charts every single day when
And
you
you're
Hmm.
know by the
not.
time
We're
you
not in the
get home
Mhm.
from
charts.
work, you're not,
Exactly,
but
exactly. And we find that like a huge difference amongst various many people. And we always ask, how many time or how much time do you dedicate to looking at the charts? Well, none. I haven't done it because then how do you expect to see results if you're not in the charts, you know? We can give you all the secrets in the world, but
yeah.
you have to be accountable for your part in this as well. And if you don't
Hmm.
hold yourself accountable, we can't do anything about that because
Yeah.
Yeah.
we're
Yeah.
not you. You get what I'm saying? We
Yeah.
can't,
Yeah.
we're good. We're good at
Mhm.
what we do, but we
Yeah,
can't control what you do on your
yeah,
end once we give you that knowledge.
yeah.
So that's
And
that's the that's the only thing.
it's important. And like we're not telling you something we don't do. When I first started trading more, late 2007, 2008, I had a trading coach and said you should be looking at 200 charts a day. 200. And you know what I did? I looked at
Hmm.
200 charts every single day. I just kept scrolling and scrolling. And to this
Hmm.
day, I look at charts every single day, especially the day. It's like learning a new language or
Hmm.
playing an instrument. You have to look. It's much faster now. Before it was like almost an hour or two. I'm here like, what's that?
Hmm.
But now it's like boom, 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 boom. But people don't realize that it takes time. And once you
Hmm.
do it and you strengthen that muscle in your eye, it just comes to you second nature. So that's why we're like, a lot of people, because of the background and how long they've been trading and things like that, a lot of people won't give alerts. They won't tell you when to get in a trade or when to get out of a trade because they don't have that experience. And it's not like every single trade is going to be green, but when you
Hmm.
see it, you already know, shells. You already
Yeah,
anticipate what's going to happen.
yeah.
You like, oh, I've seen this 100 times. I'm
Hmm.
about to get in this trade, and before
Yeah,
you know it, it plays out. It's like cha-ching, cha-ching, cha-ching. And once you keep doing that, it's just over and over and over again. And I wanted
yeah.
to mention, besides you, it was one other gentleman. Is it Vladimir? He was in the
Yeah.
Ukraine.
Yep. Yep.
We did sessions at 11 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. He
Okay.
was at 5 a.m. on his time.
Yeah.
Latoya, his English was horrible. I couldn't. Ernest. He's my man though. I don't mean to make fun of
Yeah.
him, but
Yeah.
I couldn't. His English was so. But he was hungry. He was
Hmm.
hungry. And I'm
Yeah.
like, all right, I could stay up 11:30, 12 a.m. and he's getting
Hmm.
up 5 a.m.
Yeah.
because he wanted to learn. And he was
Yep.
trading crypto. And he
Hmm.
was like, yeah, he was just talking like his accent was so heavy. But
Yep.
I appreciate that. That's when you know somebody wants it.
Hmm.
That's when you know somebody wants it. And he's successful, he's able to do his thing and keep it moving. But that's what I tell everybody. You either gonna have the discipline of regrets, or you're gonna have the discipline of pain, right? So in the beginning, you're gonna have that pain, right? You got to get up,
Yeah.
but you're not
Hmm.
gonna have the regret later on. That pain is gonna go away. The pain is
Yeah.
gonna go away. So once you start that process, you got it. It's not rocket science either.
Yeah.
It's not rocket
Yeah.
science at all. So
Yeah.
that was
You
really
guys
cool.
teach it very simple too. So it's like, I mean, you use very simple terms. So it's and I know you guys are working with folks, from all over the world. So like you said, you're getting into, second and third, fourth, fifth, sixth languages. But being able to, like I said, really be able to teach in those simple terms, that's how come people are able, to get it as well.
And that's been our main goal, no matter what. So we don't want to keep your time. What time is it over there?
Let's see. If so actually it's 9:15. So yeah, I usually start to
Okay,
simmer down. So if I can,
got you.
I try to as much as possible get at least 7 hours. Sometimes I can get 8 hours of sleep, but yeah, I definitely try to at
Okay,
least
that's
get
good.
seven.
I
That's
just have two more questions for you, Cheryl,
Okay.
okay.
before we
Yeah, yeah.
depart. So you started live trading in July. You did 1 month of simulation in June, right? That's
Hmm.
just our process. So you had a
Yeah.
total of 6 months. Would you
Yeah.
call it consistency each month? Was there ever a month where you actually read in a month?
No, no, no. So there wasn't any month that I was actually red. There was 1 month that, I would say I was redder than others, but like in July, we had talked about, how I was over trading. And so I got, like
Yes.
stopped out 3 times and I was like, wait a second, what's going on here? So I had to kind of check myself. I got cracked
Uh-huh.
out as Ernest said, I got
Yep,
cracked
you
out
got
on Crude.
cracked out. Yep.
So, so once again, as you say, the market kind of like so, like I said, I checked myself, and so, I was able to not duplicate that, again, and stuff like that. But what I will say is that, yeah, I think, pretty much it's been consistent. Um, Now, I think, too, along the way, like I said, when I went to September, that was when I called you guys, and I was like, this just feels surreal. So, September, I basically doubled, what I made in August, and then since September, it's been pretty much consistent. Um, November, I had an uptick, but once again, it was one of those where you talk about, I guess, as someone is consistent and they, build confidence, then there may be things along the way that was on their radar. So to me, what was the difference in November was, quite frankly, I was increasing my contracts. And so I knew that at some point I was going to get to that. And it just so happened that by time November came here, I felt comfortable enough to do that. So
It came
you're just
naturally.
kind of reaping exactly. It came natural. I didn't have a timeline that, November was going to be the magic, month. Um, and then also, I think because it looks like I traded less, I would
Mm-hmm.
say. So because I was trading less, which that's actually the first thing on there. Trading less is always
Always
better.
better.
Always better.
Yeah.
Get that money out the market.
So so also with that though, what I noticed was that I started to be uh what's that maybe more impatient with like my losers. So let's say that my trade plan had, allowed for maybe 100 or $200, stop loss. Um, if I was in a position that I was actually looking at it at that time, and I saw that it wasn't going to work out the way that I had planned for it, I noticed that I would cut the trade, much quicker. So I think though, maybe because by then, um, I had more confidence with seeing the charts and seeing, okay, no, actually, it's not going to go this way. It's going to go that way. So it's just like, boom, let's just go ahead and get out. And so I would have like a $50 loss, or I think at one point I had like a $10 loss or whatever, and stuff
Mm,
like that. So I'd say maybe that was how it had kind of like impacted me there.
no,
Good. That's
that's good.
good. I know we had a brief conversation not too long ago where, in terms of goals and
Hmm.
staying like neutral to what you're doing, because obviously you're exceeding what you initially started out to do, which is awesome. So going into the new year, 2020, because everyone's looking forward to 2020, which I feel nothing
Hmm.
should change. You should already
Yeah,
start, getting your stuff
We
together.
started in September, but go ahead.
exactly,
Yeah.
We
exactly,
already started.
exactly. Yeah.
Are you going to remain the same in terms of doing what you're doing so you can remain consistent and
Yeah,
going?
yeah, 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 yep. So actually, after our talk, I did, rethink that, because initially, I was looking at, moving my targets and stuff, but I was just like, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. So I do plan on, just kind of staying the course. But I am interested, like I said, that was one thing I was already looking at doing. It wasn't necessarily something I was gonna do new in the new year, and that was the whole, hey, okay, trying out, swing trading on the crude stuff, which obviously right now with low volume, I wouldn't even consider it. But also I'm looking for, a certain thing to happen. So it's something
Hmm.
that I'm keeping, in my purview, to be prepared for, when eventually it does, do what I know it's going to do. So,
There you go. We all will
Awesome.
be ready for that.
One
yeah.
thing I disclosed with Cheryl during our conversation about goals and like increasing your goals, I told her that I have not increased my account size from 2014. I keep the same number or monetary value in there and whatever I make, I just withdraw. So
Yeah.
therefore, I'm not taking it up a notch or a level because it's not about that. It's more so about the trade and the plan you have for the trade and holding that level of consistency. So
Yeah.
the money always eventually will come as long as you stick to it. So let's say one of your goals is to grow your account. Well, that's another, that's another topic. Of course,
Hmm.
you're going to want to see the money in there. More
Yeah.
money you have, more money you have to expose. But just remember, going forward, if that's not your initial desire, more so like, hey, you want to take that money out, celebrate
Yeah.
with your family, go on trips, pay off
Hmm.
student loans, buy a house, buy a
Yeah.
property, then you can do that just from extracting the money out of the market with your same initial capital. And that's
Yeah.
how you know you're progressing and growing as a trader.
Exactly.
Always remember that.
Exactly. All right. Good stuff.
So we'd like to thank you, Shells.
All
Appreciate
right.
that. And
Yeah. No
everybody,
problem.
the success as we look forward to. This is what we always talk about: education, application, success. And we look forward to teaching more people and showing them how they can benefit from investing in the financial market. So we like to say bye to everyone.
All
Have
right.
a great, great day, and we'll see you in 2020.
All
All
right.
right.
Take
Happy
care,
New
everybody.
Year.
All right. Bye
Bye.
bye.